Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mindful Muscle Podcast with my co-host, Jody. How are you today?
I'm great, Gio. If you're new here, welcome. Gio and I are two friends who individually went on health and wellness journeys, but collectively have lost 140 pounds and have maintained that for a few years now. We're here to show everybody, especially the beginner, that it is possible with sustainable ways. We want you to work on building healthy habits and saying goodbye to the fad diet yo trend. If you are new, be sure to hit that subscribe button today.
Our next two guests, one is well known to the F5 Challenge community, and the other one has become the new board of director leader. So, welcome to the podcast, Jason and Brandon. How are you doing today?
Doing well, thank you.
Brandon, let's talk with you here. So, give us a little bit of background about yourself personally, married life, things like that, that you're welcome to share. And then give us a little bit of background with F5.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gio and Jodi. Thanks for having me on today. I'm glad to be here with you. So, I'm a middle-aged married man who's been married to my sweetheart for 20 years, and
Amen.
we have three children together. The oldest is 16, and she's in boarding school right now. Then I have a 12 and 14-year-old, two sons, still here at home with us. We love doing a lot of outdoor stuff together, a lot of skiing and snowboarding in the wintertime and hiking and backpacking in the summertime. Glad to be here with you.
Well, how'd you get involved with the F5 community?
So, years ago, I want to say it was 2018, we lived up in northern Minnesota, right on the edge of the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness and on the north shore of Lake Superior. We made the acquaintance of Anna, now Tutarika, and her mother Kira. They were tree planting in the area. We invited them over for lunch after church. Anna started telling us about this amazing organization called F5 Challenge. Very much doing outdoor and fitness adventures together as a family as well. And we were interested in joining and participating activities. And I think our first main event was the mission in Page, Arizona, and then the main event in Zion National
Hmm.
Park. And we've been hooked ever since. We love the community of adventuresome and optimistic people who are cheerful and making intentional decisions about being healthy and enjoying community in the outdoors.
I think those two words that you just said there, intentional community. Sometimes myself, for example, being a weightlifter, I do it by myself in my garage. But I do have community. I have a community, the F5 Challenge community. I have another community called Fitbod, which that's where I met Jody. You have to be intentional about it because I think fitness is more fun when you do it with people who are like-minded. And Jody and I can tell you
Absolutely.
stories of where you're so excited to share a new PR. And if people aren't into it, they're like, yeah, whatever. But when you can go back to the community and share it, and they are all cheering you on, it makes for a better, positive relationship with the exercise or the community.
Yep.
Absolutely.
In case we have any listeners who may not be familiar with F5, can you go more into detail what it is and what type of person would benefit from being a part of F5?
So, we are a community of like minded individuals who are very much interested in faith, fellowship, fitness, fortitude, and fun. We do outdoor adventures together. We do outdoor adventures together. I have kids. We do outdoor adventures together. It's really neat, like you said, Gio, to challenge each other and to encourage each other in our journeys. Everyone's on a different journey. F5 Challenge is a club that's open to all people. We enjoy sharing adventures and encouraging each other on our fitness journeys together.
So, how did you personally get to the position where you've been asked to be at the forefront of F5 and being the face of the group at the moment?
I was asked by the board to step up to this position. I've been one of the directors for the last 5 years. and
Hmm.
then most recently on the board as a board member. F5 has been a meaningful organization that has blessed my family over the last 6 years. I want to continue serving in whatever capacity I can to make sure this organization is healthy moving forward and continues to be a blessing to so many other people who are also interested in fitness and adventuring in a community with good folks.
There is a faith component, but what about if I'm an atheist? Am I welcomed at F5 to do some of these amazing hikes and crazy 100-mile runs and hiking Denali and things like that? Am I invited? Am I welcomed?
Yes, absolutely. F5 is an organization that is open to all people of goodwill, whatever faith or non faith background they have. I have met so many new friends, and my kids have a bunch of bonus aunties and uncles now. They're not related to us by blood, but through friendship. And
Mhm.
we've moved a few times in different parts of the country, and wherever we live, friends from F5 events we have encountered at the main event or at regional events tend to come by and see us crash on the couch or sleep in the
Mhm.
RV. Like I said, it's just been a huge blessing. We don't check religion at the door. We don't ask for what someone's faith status is, but we certainly enjoy making friends. I think after the first event that I attended with my family, I came back and I had double as many friends on Facebook as I had when I first went there. During the COVID years, it was especially neat to have that connection and encouragement because so many of us were in places where we were pretty isolated and there were stringent lockdowns in different areas, and it was neat to still be able to participate virtually in some of these fitness challenges and encourage everyone to still stay healthy and stay fit, even if maybe we weren't able to go and work out at the local YMCA like we had been doing.
Okay, and so let's talk about these five F's, right? Because obviously that makes part of the name. We just spoke about faith, and let's talk about fitness. I've noticed that the concentration for the F5 is mainly outdoor events. Why that focus primarily?
Yeah, obviously, there's a lot of people who like to work out in gyms. I work out in gyms sometimes as well. I will tell you though, the aspect of working out in fresh air and the sunshine and seeing the scenery and hearing the birds chirping is so great for your mind, your well being, and your sense of positivity. It's funny because I grew up swimming in lakes and rivers, and my wife grew up swimming in chlorinated swimming pools. One of my favorite things to do is hike up to the top of a mountain and take a dip in an alpine lake. Even a lake that maybe doesn't seem very clean, and she'll walk by and she's, oh, that water looks dirty. But I would much rather swim in a lake, say in the Boundary Waters, than swim in a pool. We have a wide variety of people who pursue different interests. I've appreciated doing triathlons over the years,
Hmm.
but especially in the winter when it's cold, I spend more time in the gym lifting weights. We have a wide range of people interested in different things.
What's crazy about because you guys are a unique community, the more I get to know it. What is it with the cold plunges, man? You guys are nuts. Tell us about the cold plunges.
It's good to get ourselves out of our comfort zones. I believe that, and as I think most F5ers do, we have a comfort crisis in America right now. Life is so easy. It's much easier to sit on the couch and watch TV and eat junk food. It's much easier
Hmm.
to find the closest parking spot to the door when you go to that grocery store. But there are so many things that we can do, very small steps that we can take in our own lives to encourage personal fitness and also to model fitness for our children and for those
Hmm.
younger. We can all encourage each other. Little decisions like parking further away at the grocery store, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, doing a cold plunge because it readjusts our normalcy bias. It's so healthy for us to take ourselves out of our comfort zones and challenge ourselves. I'm in my 40s, but I always want to be a student, challenging myself and learning new things every day. So,
And Jason, now that you're back on here, you're part of the leadership. What were some things about Brandon that made you comfortable nominating him and being part of the process of getting him to lead out? Yeah.
Okay, so I've been able to listen to the whole thing. I apologize. I'm traveling. Part of the F5 motto is made to move, and I'm moving in my car right now. But I stopped. That's why I don't have my seatbelt on. I'm pulled over on the side of the road. I thought it would be good to go over how our leadership is structured.
Mm,
So we have two divisions of board. So there's an
mm-hmm,
F5 board, which is in charge of the big idea of F5, understanding our mission and vision and dealing with some of the legal aspects of F5. One of the roles of the F5 board is to determine its board of directors. The second tier of leadership is more of the implementation phase of F5. And they're the ones that plan our main events, plan our regional events. They come up with taking the vision of F5 and our mission, which is creating meaningful connections through memorable challenges. It's all about face-to-face interactions with people. We do have an online presence, but I think where the money is having people connect outdoors, doing challenges together. The board of directors, or the group of directors, which Brandon has been nominated and has accepted, he is in charge of that group. Because of that, he also sits on the board of. He was previously already a part of the board, but now he
mm-hmm.
has taken on the role as the director of the directors of making sure that the day-to-day processes of F5 occur. We're excited about Brandon taking this position. He's been an active participant and leader at F5 for a while. This is our third director. Our first
Mm-hmm.
director was Calvin Kim. Calvin,
Mm-hmm.
who was one of the co-founders, was the first director for the first 5 years. And then Rolando took the torch, and he's been a director for the last 3 years. And so Brandon is now our third director. And we love the new energy. Rolando and Calvin continue to be very active with F5. They serve on the board and help with their wisdom and experience to guide. It's a team effort, but that's how it goes. It'd be good for you guys to know.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon is putting together a new team of people. We're excited to see what the future holds for F5 through his leadership.
What do you envision, and how are you going to put your fingerprint on the leadership? Obviously, you come with your own experiences, flavor, style. What are some of the things you would like to see going forward, at least preliminary?
Sure. I'd like to say thank you first for Rolando and his
Mm-hmm.
service. We value his experience. I am retaining him as a member of my team going forward. He'll be a webmaster and social media director. As far as my leadership philosophy, I'd rather be behind the scenes and pick a really great team of people who can execute excellently. So that's what I have been doing. We just got a new team of directors on board, and we're hitting the ground running. Our first priority is, and we're actually going to be meeting about this in a couple hours, is we are going to lock in a location for the main event next year.
Mm-hmm.
We have some great options. People have been researching different venues, seeing different activity options, and getting the finances all squared away. So we will, God willing, be locking in that location tonight, and then we'll put out an announcement video shortly thereafter. Some of my
Mm-hmm.
priorities moving forward, we really want F5 to be a blessing to families and ministries. I know personally I've worked very hard to especially try to include single parents into this ministry. I know a lot of times single parents feel left out in church activities and social functions. That's one of my priorities moving forward. I want to target and include single parents and help them feel comfortable. As we discussed earlier, Gio, this is a community filled with people of diverse faith backgrounds, and we definitely want it to be a safe space for people of different belief systems. So that's
Mm-hmm.
another thing that we'll definitely be pushing, is making sure that we're a very inclusive environment, and we're there to build these memories, like Jason mentioned, meaningful connections, and to not be focusing on preaching at people and trying to push our specific type of belief system. A tertiary goal as well that I'd be working on is, we're going to do a revamp on our website. Actually, I have Rolando working on that right now.
Okay.
Uh, the hosting service that we use is not very user friendly, so we're going to do a revamp on that.
Okay. Okay. So this last main event was in Telluride, Colorado. When you decide to pick, is there any consideration to like, oh, last time we did it in Colorado, which tends to be West Coast. Are we gonna move it East Coast or North, South? Or what's some of the philosophy behind that? Or is it just pick the best available venue and let's roll?
Yes, good question. There are some significant challenges with picking venues that are suitable for large groups of people. They will also have the draw, having some name recognition as an event location. We also have challenges for figuring out the financial package. We have a variety of preferences as far as accommodations. Some people want an inexpensive event price that is 3 digits and starts with a 1. They'd be fine eating freeze-dried, rehydrated backpacker pantry type meals and sleeping in a tent.
Yeah.
And then we have other folks who want the full resort experience with glamping, a swimming pool, a nice hot
Hmm.
shower, and room accommodations. That's part of the challenge. Ideally, we want to get a venue where we'll have a range of accommodation options and pricing from budget friendly to glamorous glamping. So that's part of the challenge. There's a challenge with food. How do we feed everyone? And what are some options? Are we going to bring in our own food on a prep service, or are we going to cater the whole thing? We also consider airports. Sometimes people want to
Hmm.
fly in and there might not be an airport nearby. We realize that F5 is largely a West Coast club. We definitely want to expand more out on the eastern seaboard. We do regionals all over and encourage
Hmm.
our members to host regional events. But when it comes to like big ticket, like national park, recognizable
Yeah.
locations, those tend to be out west, but we're not opposed to doing something in the east. We're always looking for suggestions and investigating options. We are, at least at this point, largely a western mountain region with a heavy Southern California population as far as members, but we're open to suggestions, exploring different options, and we encourage regional events. Perhaps at some point we'll do a main event out east. We're looking.
Hmm. Hmm. No, that's a good point. I had never thought about it that, yeah, all the big national parks are out west. Ain't nobody
Yeah.
camping in Central Park, New York City.
If somebody is listening and they're not already a part of F5, but they want to learn more, how can they find out more and possibly join?
Sure. I think our Facebook page is most active. We have over 5,000 members, and you just go to F5 Challenge members on Facebook and join. We also have a website, F5 Challenge, I think it's .com. And like I said, we're going to
.org.
be .org, sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gio. We will be revamping that, and we put all of our events both on Facebook and on the website. Those are good places for people to look at our team of directors as well. We're going
Hmm.
to be updating that to see all the events that we have going on and how to join in. The main purpose of this fitness and adventure ministry is, hey, we want to include people in community and encourage people to get healthy and get fit. And we do this fitness journey together. My philosophy and what I've always tried to encourage people is don't compete against other people, compete against yourself yesterday. We all are in different places with different goals in our fitness journeys. I'm in the gym. I was in the gym last night working out. I'm keeping a journal of what I'm doing. Yesterday I was able to bench press this much.
Hmm.
Tomorrow I want to bench press that much. What is not recorded cannot be improved. But again, I'm competing against myself. I'm not comparing myself against the other guy down the hall. I'm competing against what I did yesterday and last week. We're encouraging people to live their best and continue to try to improve and encourage others along the way.
Yep. I like to say you versus you. It's you versus
Absolutely.
you, and that's all that matters. This is in jest here, but when are we going to change it to the F6 challenge? Because there's got to be an F for food in there, man. We got to talk about food is so important. So, what's your philosophy on food and nutrition empowering these hikes, your workouts?
I appreciate that. I've been plant based my whole life. Um, I like to say a non neurotic plant based. I'm probably about
Yes.
98%, right? But there have been times in my life when I've had specific health goals, when I've been super hardcore and I've gone 100%. One time I struggled with hereditary high cholesterol. Even if I work out and I do a ton of cardio, a few years ago I had all four of my basic cholesterol numbers off the charts. My doc wanted to put me on pills. I was 35 years old. I ain't
Mhm.
taking pills. So
Yeah.
for a year, I went scorched earth, 100% only plant based. Fortunately, my wife is definitely on board with that, and she's a really great cook, and she supported me 100%. After a year of doing that, all four of my cholesterol numbers were down within normal ranges for the first time in my life.
Mm.
I know you can read literature online and they say that dietary cholesterol intake is only a negligible effect on overall cholesterol numbers. But that's my personal testimony. I saw that it
Hmm.
worked for me. As far as food intake, like I said, I try not to get too wrapped around the axle about it, but generally
Hmm.
speaking, I am plant based and encourage that. Different people have different health goals and they're
Hmm.
different places in the journey, so it's not something I'm trying to push on people, but it's
Hmm.
something I've seen that works really well for me. It's another thing I did recently was intermittent fasting, that I had gained some weight that wasn't muscle. So I just started doing intermittent fasting and I did the 16-8-8 schedule. And I work varied shifts, a lot of times nighttime. And so I had found that I was falling into a bad habit of eating to stay awake. Has anyone ever done that on shift work, eating to
Hmm.
stay awake? I really dialed that back down and I made sure I was not eating after 8 p.m. and then I wasn't eating again until noon the next day. After I did that for a few months, I accidentally discovered I had lost 7 pounds. I was getting ready to do a backpacking trip and I jumped on the scales. I hadn't been on the scales for several weeks or a few months, but I jumped on the scales to weigh my bag to see how much weight I was taking. I was like, oh my goodness, I lost 7 pounds. If you're asking about food, that's a
Hmm.
few things I've done in my life. I had to dial back the intermittent fasting though after I lost 10 pounds. I was like, I don't want to lose any more weight. So I got to add in a little more eating in here. And I'm pretty intentional about my protein intake, especially in the winter when I'm lifting weights. So,
Like a couple things I know in the past, going back to when we were talking about the location, one of the big things that we have always strived to do is probably earlier in F5's history, the location was usually chosen based upon a challenge. Like we wanted to climb Half Dome. So that
Hmm.
obviously meant we had to be in.
Yosemite.
And so as far as locations are concerned, early on in the ministry, it seemed to be focused around the challenge. We've morphed more into just good places for people to be able to do challenges, not necessarily a specific we wanted to do. There were things like the Via Ferrata that were fun for people to do. The first year we did the rim to rim, so you had to be at the Grand Canyon for that.
Hmm.
The second year, we climbed Half Dome, we climbed to the top of Grand Teton. So we've gotten away from that a little bit. And yes, most of those cool, iconic, difficult bucket list items are in the West Coast. It's been a struggle to find something out east. Switching topics, when you guys were talking about you versus you, well, I think one of the benefits, and I think you see this in Fitbot as well, is the positive peer pressure of doing good
Hmm.
things.
Hmm.
So you may be competing against yourself, but you can inspire other people by your results. I think you've been very inspirational to me because I knew you pre six pack, and now I know you as this, older, fit pasture that can pump iron. I think it's really good as being a pastor. If you have church members that aren't willing to toe the line, you can just be like, come over here real quick. But
Actually, what I'm most proud of is it's the first time I ever taken a high sensitivity CRP, and to have it come back at point 0.3, uh, that's what I'm most proud of because internal numbers are important. And that's why I could resonate, Brandon, with your cholesterol thing. Sometimes you see a lot of people that outwardly look physically fit, but inwardly their life is a hot
Mhm.
mess. We need to be able to be fit both inwardly, physically, outwardly, and mentally, which is the spiritual component.
Yeah,
Yes.
I had a very similar experience. And Brandon and mine experience very similar. I'm pretty much plant based. I've done the intermittent fasting. Cholesterol was huge. I also have hereditary elevated cholesterol in my family as well. I think having a community where people can see transformed lives is very powerful. Inspire to motivate as opposed to dictatorial motivation.
Mm.
I think because it lasts so much longer and you get a group of people that actually want to follow. That's the way the Lord Jesus Christ motivates us is through his example and inspiration.
Hmm.
And he sets the best example of all.
Yeah, own transformation. I don't go out of my way to talk to people about what I've done. They just see the results and they ask questions, and I'm willing to help. I get a lot of DMs, I got a lot of texts. Hey, what'd you do? How'd you do it? And that gives me an opportunity. The three of us are plant-based. Jody is not, but she's very cognizant. That's why I no longer say I'm vegan, because vegans can be militant, man. And it's not about some of these other aspects. It's about just holistic health, which I think it's important for everybody to do. As we wrap up here, give us a last message as if you were just talking to all 5,000 F5 community members. Obviously, this is a face to the new leadership. What would you like to let them know about you and what you hope to inspire?
All right, thank you for this opportunity. F5 has been such a huge blessing to me personally and to my family. I'm thrilled to continue to serve in whatever capacity I've been called to. I built a really great team of directors around me. I have high expectations that they will do excellent work. We want F5 to be a healthy organization moving forward and to be a blessing to as many people as possible on their fitness journeys. Remembering that fitness is not just physical health, but also mental and spiritual health as well. Is that positive aspect of being around people who have a good attitude and who enjoy doing fun outdoor activities together. Moving forward, I want to continue to be a service, helping people on their fitness journeys and helping them stay mentally and spiritually healthy as well.
And for my wife and Jason's family, he has three daughters. I have three daughters. We call them our Mississippi twins. We plan to be there in the next main event. We wanted to go to this one, but our house is up for sale and things like that. We love what F5 is about, the outdoors, breathing in that air, being with like-minded people, being with people who care about all three aspects of their health, right? Spiritual, physical, and obviously the internal, the mind. Thank you to both of you for what you do with this community. May it continue to grow for God's glory and honor.
Thank you.
All right. Until next time on the F5 Challenge Mindful Muscle podcast, be blessed, and we'll hear more from Brandon in the future.